I set myself 6 running goals at the beginning of 2023, and now it's time to sit down and find out if we achieve them. So with 12 days to go until the end of the year when I'm recording this, it's time for us to sit down and go through what those goals were, see if we achieved them. And there is one goal that I am absolutely delighted that I have managed to achieve. It's actually not a goal that I set myself in this year, but I've done in previous years, and I really wish I had this year. It's the most accomplished feeling I've ever had, and I can't wait to share with you what that is. So if you're excited for today's video, guys, make sure you give it a like, share it with your friends, and of course, do consider subscribing to the channel for weekly running content. Let's dive in and have that recap. So the first one was to run 2,700 miles. Now I started running on January the 1st, 2015. So this means I'm coming to the end of my 8th year of running, moving into my 9th year, which is very exciting. And every year I try and up that mileage every 100 to 200 miles ish. So I started around 1,1600 and I've gently increased it every single year. Last year I ran 2,516 miles. And this year, so far, right now, I've run 2,533. So all being well, I should hit the 2,600 mark if the next 2 weeks go to plan. I am, however, not going to hit that magical 2,700. So technically, I didn't achieve the goal I set myself. However, I have run more miles than I did last year, and I am very, very happy with that. Now, the second goal was very specific. I wanted to PB in the 10K and the half marathon, and I achieved both of those goals. In fact, I've managed to PB, which I'm very grateful for, in the 5K, 10K, half marathon and full marathon. I got the clean sweep of distances that I love to train for, plus I got a PB in the 8-mile distance from an 8-mile race I did back in January, and I also got a 20-mile PB. So I'm very, very happy. The PBs were 33.00 back at Bourton 10K in February, and then my half marathon PB in Oxford a couple of months ago, 1:13.53. The other PBs, 16:21 for the 5K, 2 hours, 40 minutes and 44 seconds for the marathon. Can't remember what the other two were in those random distances, but very, very happy. So as far as I'm concerned, that is a goal achieved. And the third goal I set myself was to run a marathon well. Now, I did a big waffle in last year's video about what I defined well as. I'm not going to bore you with that now. If you don't know my marathon history, don't worry, I'm not going to go over it now. All I'll say is I have had disaster after disaster with the marathon, and it all comes down to sort of fueling and hydration. This year, I really practiced well, I practiced hard, and I pretty much got it right. There was just a couple of tweaks that I need to make for my London marathon next year, but overall, I managed to sink a gel 10 minutes before the race and then 5 gels out on course. I need to take another one. I missed the last one, just felt a bit too sick. But to get that many on board meant that I could sustain my effort all the way up to around 23, 24 miles. So as far as I'm concerned, that was a big tick as well. Got a massive PB, which I'm very, very happy with. And I finally felt like this year I've managed to tick the box of running a marathon well. So in my books, again, we've achieved that one. And the fourth goal I set myself was to do 2 trail races this year. I did not achieve this. I did not even run 1 trail race this year, which I'm really gutted actually, because last year I did. I want to correct that next year, but we'll talk about that in another video with my 2024 goals. I train on the trails. I live in an area where most of my runs, not in the winter right now because it's dark and I can't get out there, but about 9 months of the year, I am just out on the trails permanently. That's where I train. I train on the trails, I race on the roads. And I guess that mindset has kind of stuck with me throughout this year. I've been so focused on road running and getting PBs and getting faster and fitter and enjoying myself. And I mean, genuinely, this has been the most enjoyable year of running that I've had, that I've just not even navigated away to even contemplate doing any trail races. So a little bit disappointing. I do want to try and correct that next year, but that is a goal that I did not achieve. And the fifth goal I set myself was to complete half of a road running series in the summer. There are 2 namely around here. The Rose Inn Race series, which runs from May, June, July and August. And there's the Hereford Couriers 5K series, April, May and June. And they're just kind of like mini race series that run throughout the summer. I did not achieve this. I had to pick between the Hereford Couriers 5K series and the Rose Inn, and I went for the Rose Inn. I love that race. I love them both, but I really love the Rose Inn races. They're so good. I just picked a day with the Rose Inn race, what I did go and do, which is like 27 or 28 degrees in the evening when it started at 7:30. It was so hot. I had an absolute stinker of a race. I was gutted, really. And I didn't end up getting back for more. That was the second one I believe I ran. The first one was a bit too close post Newport Marathon. I think I ran the June one, or I can't remember. But either way, I had earmarked to go and do the August one, and that would have ticked that box. but sadly I ended up being on holiday that week. So I ended up not going. So yeah, it was another goal that I didn't achieve. I really am desperate to try and do this and achieve this 1 year. I think I've set this goal for myself the last 3 years. So maybe 1 year we'll manage it. And the final goal I set myself, buckle up and listen to this one because this is interesting. Focus on longer distances for the second half of the year. Now, this did not happen. I said in my goal video that I wanted to run maybe 2 marathons in the autumn, maybe one early autumn and then one in the winter, if I could get the dates to match. Just didn't happen. I think I had my eyes on maybe Valencia in December, and I was contemplating running one in early October. I don't know why I was thinking that at the time, because I should have known that that was never going to happen. But I wanted to focus on longer distances, and it just didn't happen. And I'm actually really grateful that it didn't happen. So I failed that one, and I'm going to give more of an explanation as to why this didn't happen in the next section. But here's the winner. Here's where I feel like I've won this year, and I am so grateful. I am just beyond grateful that I have managed to stay relatively injury-free. I cannot tell you how it feels to get to less than 2 weeks out from the end of the year. Like if I get injured now in the next couple of weeks, whatever, I've completed pretty much a whole year injury-free. I've had niggles. I had a sciatic issue which plagued me for quite a long time during this year, probably a good 3, 4, 5 months. It was really frustrating. It didn't stop me from running, but I didn't quite have the power in my right leg that I wanted to, and it did hinder a little bit of training. It did hinder a few races, but overall I was still able to train through it. It didn't stop me from running, and bar a couple of days where I just took it off either due to fatigue or a bit of tightness in a muscle, I did not have any injuries of note, and I am so beyond grateful. It's unbelievable, and there's a few reasons why I feel that's happened. We'll go through that shortly, but this is a goal I set myself in previous videos. I've always said I want to stay injury free for the year, and I feel like again that's why I've managed to get the mileage I have, because my running pattern has not changed from last year. But I've managed to get more miles in this year. I'm going to get another 100 miles in this year than I did the year before. And again, I think last year was a bit broken up, a few weeks off with injury and stuff. So this year has been a lot more consistent. My Strava graph, where I log all my miles, looks really nice, and I'm so grateful. So let's dive into why I think that's happened, and again, talk about this whole longer distance marathon thing and why that didn't happen as well. So the first 2 reasons why I think I've managed to stay injury free is because I've dialed it back on a lot of occasions, and I've kept on top of my strength and conditioning, but most importantly, my mobility. Now, I know I've talked in previous videos about this, so I'm not going to go into massive detail. If you want to see more on that, I'll try and remember to link some videos at the end of this one for you to check out more about that. And I have been promising that I'm going to record some of my strength and conditioning setup and my mobility stuff. I haven't done it. I've got the FOD Runner Extra channel for all of that stuff. I am useless. I put my hands up, but I've got to be honest with you, keeping on top of mobility has been key, keeping as flexible as I can. I am not a flexible person, but doing a few little routines plus my strength and conditioning has played a massive part in this. And as I mentioned earlier, dialing it back. So I won't go into detail because I've talked about this, but that just means taking the edge off of things if I need to. In terms of workouts, if I'm a bit fatigued out there, just pulling the paces back a bit, because I'm always trying to think I want to be able to unlock that door and get out for a run the next day. I don't want to do anything today that's going to jeopardize that. And if I'm going to push and strain myself too much today, is that going to have an impact on what my run is tomorrow? And I'm potentially going to put myself into a position where I get injured. I don't want that, therefore I'm going to dial it back. And that's even more apparent right now as I get back into marathon training. Although we're doing much more shorter, sharper 10k specific runs at the moment, workouts I should say, I'm still feeling a little bit of fatigue with the way the week's set up and what we're going to roll into January. And I'm just having to dial a lot of stuff back and just keep it a bit calmer. If you follow the training series, you'll know a little bit more of what I'm talking about. But yeah, overall, just dialing it back a bit, and of course, keeping that mobility and strength and conditioning up has been key. But this next point is the kicker. So the third thing that I think has contributed massively towards this is I've listened to my coach and I've tried to take away a lot of social media pressure. I want to dive into this in a little bit of detail. So in terms of my coach, he's been amazing. Will, you see him in the training series, and he's got me into some great shape, and I'm feeling really good right now. He's allowed me to PB in all the distances this year. I really strongly feel like he has had such a big contribution towards this. And I've had so many in-depth chats with him about what will be best. And basically at the beginning of the year, I said to him, hey, I've run Newport. I now want to try and better that, but I want to get a speed block in the middle. And he's like, right, let's get the speed block done. So we do the speed block. That was like his focus. He's like, come on, let's get you sharper and faster. It's what I wanted. It's what he wanted. And that worked really well. And then he said, well, look, you're thinking of maybe running Chester Marathon or something else. We've got 10 weeks, we've got 11 weeks. Are you really going to be satisfied with taking another maybe minute or two off your PB from back in the autumn? Or is it going to be more beneficial if we knuckle down and maybe do a half marathon block and then do a big base phase leading into London Marathon next year? You're going to be fitter, stronger, faster if we do that, as opposed to you being sort of satisfied with the fact that you've run a second marathon this year. And I kind of sat down and went, actually, mate, you're right. You are bang on, and let's do that. And I managed to, as I said, get that PB in the half marathon. I'm now working in that early marathon phase where I'm doing some 10K specific workouts, but overall, really focusing on what's to come with the marathon, and that will be switching very soon. And it's been a godsend. And let's be honest, let's just lay cards on the table right now, because I'm sure a lot of you feel the same way that I do with social media, people that we watch, follow, whatever you want to call it. Marathons are hip and trendy, you know, they are what people want to do. And as much as I love long distance and I want to do as much long distance running as I can, I also want to become the best runner that I can. And I feel like there's a lot of social media pressure to go and run marathons. There genuinely is. And I'm putting my cards on the table now. I would love to run 2 marathons next year, but I'm going to try and structure it in such a way that I get the training time that I need to actually build up to these races appropriately. So I'd love to try and do Valencia next year, potentially in December. That'll give me some great time to do 10K stuff and half marathon. But Valencia may or may not happen. And if it doesn't, I would genuinely consider another marathon later in like November or December so that I can get a good block. Or I would just repeat what I've done this year and just do one. I'll listen to my coach and I'll take that social media pressure away. I'm sure a lot of you guys understand exactly what I'm saying. It's something that I strongly feel about, especially when it comes to our own performance. What's important and what's going to get us to be a stronger, more resilient runner? Is it going to be back-to-back marathon blocks? Is it going to be trying to squeeze 3, 4, 5 marathons in a year? Genuinely, no, it's not. So those are just my 2 pennies worth, but it's really, really important. And I would just say a massive shout out to my coach for his solid advice. Now, speaking of coaching, if you're interested in coaching, do consider clicking the link in the description below. I am now offering coaching. I've been doing it for about 18 months, but officially now as an insured coach, I've been doing it for about 3 or 4 months, and it's really exciting. I've got some great athletes heading into Manchester Marathon, got about 8 or 9 I think already, and about 3 or 4 going into London, and some other people in Europe going to their respective marathons. It's a really exciting time. Got a group of athletes at the moment doing cross-country stuff. It's really, really exciting. So if you want to be a part of it, do feel free to check out that link in the description below. £50 a month. Yeah, nothing more to say. Fill out the details and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And I think the final thing that's really helped me this year is to train more and race less. I'm not advocating that that's a better strategy, because I love to race, and I've done years where I've raced more. I've raced over 20 times in a year before, but this year I think I've raced 12 and will be 13 times, or maybe even 11, I can't remember. I've got one more race post-Christmas at the Hereford 10K, which I've just entered. That's really exciting. But yeah, and I've even taken some races this year as training runs. What that's meant for me is throughout the year, I've just had to go, right, well, I've raced 2 or 3 races now. This is the fitness level I'm at. I haven't quite got what I wanted to. I've got the PB, but I think I could squeeze some more out of myself. But what's the point? If I can squeeze another 2 or 3 seconds, why would I do that? Whereas I could just go, right, draw a line. That's where I'm at fitness-wise. I might be able to have a little bit better performance if the stars align, if the conditions are great. Or I could just get my head down and train and take myself to the next level and ensure that the next time I hit that distance, I am going to PB. And just, yeah, focus more on training. That's what's going to get us stronger. That's what's going to get me faster. And just kind of accepting that this year has been really, really good. I've already planned out next year. I've got my 10K in build up to London, I should say. I've got my 10K in January, Barcelona half marathon in February. I've got another 10K 2 weeks later, Bourton, want to go back there. Nothing in March, I don't think. Oh no, sorry, I've got a 20-mile race in March, which I'll take as a workout, and then London Marathon. So I'm not cramming too much in before London. And as I said, that 20-mile race will be done as a workout probably. So I've only got 3 races really before London, which I'll take as races. And that's it. and I'm quite happy with that. In the past, I've done plenty more, but at the end of the day, it's going to take away from my long run time, and that's what's going to get me strong for London. So yeah, just racing a bit less and training a bit more. So there we go, that's pretty much my 2023 roundup of my goals. 2 out of the 6 definitely achieved, one that I'm relatively happy with, and the rest complete failures. But hey ho, that's what we do, and that's why we set these goals for ourselves. I'll be setting some more later. Probably it'll be the first video of 2024. I'll share some of my 2024 goals. I've got some plans, I'm excited, and I can't wait to share them with you guys. So I appreciate you sticking around, and let me know in the comments below, down there, have you achieved your goals this year? Did you set yourself any, or was it just to run happy and healthy? Because I know that's what a lot of us do, and that's been in my mind a lot this year. Just be happy, healthy, and enjoy your running. So let me know down there, was it just to be consistent this year, or did you have any specific PB targets that you achieved or didn't? And what's your goals for 2024? Be great to hear from you there. And thank you guys again for watching. Appreciate it. Thanks for sticking around to the end of the video. If you enjoyed it, please do consider giving it a like, share it with your friends, and of course, subscribe to the channel for weekly running content. I'll see you in the next one. Until then.